Whitaker Weekly is a 3-episode anime discussion podcast where two brothers discuss a show of their choice. The show can be anything from a current season flop to a decades-old classic. What are they going to talk about next? Who knows? They sure don't.
I'm Lee.
And this is Whitaker Weekly. Let's get right into it. So, last week, and actually a couple weeks ago, we talked about wanting to do this. This is the first week of KyoAni month for us.
Yes.
All month long, we are going to celebrate the beautiful shows that KyoAni has brought into this world. Kyoto Animation, for those of you who don't know what KyoAni is for. Today's the first day of KyoAni month, so we're super excited to go ahead and get into it. And speaking of KyoAni, the CEO of, for those of you who aren't aware, KyoAni had had a terrible incident.
Was attacked.
Was attacked. I guess incident isn't really the right word for it.
There was an arsonist burned down their primary studio with or rather, I don't know if it's their primary studio quite so much as their first studio.
I think that's their primary studio.
So, but I do know it was their first, and it was still active, but they had other ones as well.
But 34. I actually believe the count may have gone up to 35. Another one may have passed away in the hospital.
Yeah, there were 34 confirmed deaths, and the toll may continue to rise with some of the survivors in the hospital in serious condition.
Just, I don't like nitpicking, but just to get the facts, from what I understand, it was 33 who died in the fire in the building, and then 2 have died in the hospital. So total of 35. But anyways, just yesterday, the CEO of KyoAni, of Kyoto Animation, Hideaki Hatta, released a statement thanking the fans for their support. And I apologize if I get teary-eyed for reading this, but this is, you can read the entire thing yourself on Anime News Network. We will have the link for you below. Do people still call it the doobly-doo here in YouTube? I have no idea. But we'll have the link on our website for those of you who watch us on or listen to us on our website, and we'll have the link in the description below for anyone who wants to read this for themselves. So here it goes. An unprecedented atrocity has robbed many of our friends and colleagues of their bright futures and has left many deeply injured. News from all over the world tells us that amazingly many number of people has sent us their hearts and prayers, which are like candles in the darkness for those of us trapped in the darkness of deepest grief. There are many friends and colleagues who are hospitalized and suffering, fighting for their lives. Please give us some time. We promise that Kyoto Animation will continue to create animation that help people have dreams, hope, and impress them. Kyoto Animation will continue to make its employees and staff lead happy lives and contribute to society and local community. I assure you that Kyoto Animation will not give up. We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. Kyoto Animation CEO Hideaki Hatta.
Powerful.
But yeah, I just want to go ahead and read that in whole. And let's go ahead and move on to the news from there on.
Yes.
So Kyoto Animation has received not just an outpouring of love, but donations as well. And yesterday it was reported that they have received over $1 billion. I think that's 1.2 billion yen. That's 11.4 million American dollars or so in donations. So if you haven't donated yet, feel free to go ahead. Feel free to donate if you can. If you're not in a place where you can donate, then it's always a good idea to go ahead and feel free to go ahead and share the link to others who might be able to, so others can see where they might be able to donate.
Yeah.
That's yeah. This lets you guys know that our podcast is not scripted.
Oh, of course not. No, or rehearsed. No, it's
Nope.
if you have the ability to donate, please continue to donate and continue to share the news about Kyoto Animation with anybody who, with your friends, your family, and anyone that you might have influence with, and just let's help them through this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Something that I think is going to be used as an additional uh, money making
Fundraising, you mean?
fundraising
Mm-hmm.
tool for Kyoto Animation is that 6 Kyoto Animation anime films will be re-released over the next 3 weeks in Tokyo,
Nice.
and 4 of them are free.
Really?
And I don't mean to say that there's no admission. I mean the swimming anime free. 4 of
Oh,
those films are the swimming anime free, and the other 2 are sound euphonium films.
okay. Huh.
Now they do have they have some films in the works that are coming out soon. I've got news here that January 2020, they're expecting the release of the Violet Evergarden movie.
Awesome.
This month they just released Free Road to the World Dream movie. Back in April they released the Sound Euphonium movie, the movie Our Promise: A Brand New Day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, they keep making movies and
Mm-hmm.
TV
Well,
series, and I'm actually here. I'm actually on Kyoto Animation's website in their Our Works uh,
mm-hmm.
listing, and just going over the shows of theirs that we've already seen. Something I've noticed about Kyoto Animation is just their focus on eyes. Anytime we've seen an anime that had just the most amazing eye work, I think it happened to be a Kyoto Animation, because I'm over here looking
Probably,
at
yeah.
Sound Euphonium, Beyond the Boundary,
Mm-hmm.
um, Violet Evergarden, just some of the most beautiful, amazing eyes I've seen in anime have come from this studio.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
So,
But let's go.
one last bit of
Yeah.
news before we get on to 3 episodes in is this week they announced that Zombieland Saga Revenge, which is the title for season 2 for Zombieland Saga, has been announced.
Oh gosh. I still
And
haven't
to
finished Zombieland Saga 1.
Yeah, and if you click on the link that we'll provide, there is art. There's a promotional poster that features the manager in a ridiculously dramatic pose.
What are you doing to me? You're making me click on this dumb link.
Yes, I am. Go ahead and scroll down just a little bit, and it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man.
their manager. Oh, you need to finish this season 1, because
Yeah, yeah.
there's some reveals about him that I want to talk to you about, and I can't because you
Okay.
haven't watched it yet.
I will finish season 1. I adore it. It's just I've had so much going on, and I've had other shows that have been pulling my attention away, especially with the anime that's coming out this season. Holy crap. We're probably not going to get a chance to talk about it anytime soon because we're doing Kill Annie month. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
so far,
maybe next month, maybe for the month of September, we'll take a look at the summer season.
well, I mean, it's still going to be in the full swing of it all at that point. Or I guess
Sure,
it'll, maybe
but by then,
no.
a number of summer
Mhm.
seasons will at least have their 3 episodes
Oh,
out, and you can see
definitely,
them.
definitely. Okay.
All right.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to 3 episodes in.
Indeed.
And
Let's.
this week it was my pick,
Mhm.
and I had the pleasure of picking Amagi Brilliant Park. A mysterious but pretty transfer student, Sento Izuku, asks Kanye Kanye Seiya out on a date to an amusement park. That park was Amagi Brilliant Park, featuring worn down attractions and lackluster service, the worst in Japan. And boy, is that theme park awful. So she doesn't just ask him out on a date, does she?
No, she does not.
Very first episode, very first scene, they're in a classroom, and she's holding a musket to his head.
Now,
not just
this
a gun,
scene is
musket.
Lit. Yeah, this scene is lit like your standard, golden hour, dusk, romantic scene, confession scene, and they're posed in a way that he's a little taken aback, and she's serious about what she's going to say, and there happens to be a musket involved.
And he's like, so let me get this straight. You're asking me out on a date? Yes. At gunpoint? Yes. And then to prove her point.
So what do you say? What can I say? Bang.
Yeah. To prove her point, she pulls the trigger
and puts a bullet in the chalkboard, but next to his head. Then starts the opening credits.
And then it's the opening credits.
So this series came out in 2014, and so I don't know if that that current trend of the OP doesn't start until the end of the first episode. I don't know when that trend started, but it wasn't.
That's been something that's kind of going on and off for quite some time. That's not a recent thing, but not every show does it. This one didn't. So
right. This one ran right into the OP, and the only thing that really caught my attention during that OP was that it's very hype, it's very energetic, but there was one shot that was kind of a pan up to the sky, and you see 4 pairs of hands clapping, and I say you see 4 pairs of hands, but really you see 3 pairs of hands and then sleeves with no hands clapping.
Yep.
So I was like, who's this character? Do we have another invisible girl like in My Hero Academia?
Maybe. I don't know. I
haven't seen her yet.
Yep. So it cuts to the next day, and Kanye, and I can't believe it took me actually saying the name out loud to get that they named him Kanye.
Yes.
And he's a narcissist.
He really is.
Like
yeah, the next day.
I can't believe I didn't catch that until I said his name out loud. Wow.
Yeah, no, he's a serious narcissist, and it's revealed how bad it is when he's admiring his own reflection and thinking about why this girl had to pull a gun on him to ask him out on a date.
Obviously,
at the bus stop.
I'm smart. I'm smart. I'm strong. I'm popular. I always place the top grades in testing. It's no wonder this transfer student wanted to ask me out right away. And then as he's admiring himself in the window, she pops up from the other side because she's in a convenience store reading the magazine. She's like, "Oh, there you are," and she puts the magazine away. Scares him, but they go to the bus stop, and she's like, "Okay, we're gonna go to this park to Amagi Brilliant Park." And he's like, "That place sucks. Why?" And then she pulls her gun out on him again. And
she does. And somehow she has a pocket dimension where she keeps her gun. And the pocket dimension's axis seems to be right around her panty line. So she reaches up under her mini skirt and pulls it out. And by so doing...
Well, yeah, and I want to kind of clarify, that could be seen as, yes, a very, very dirty thing that she's got to show her panties every time she pulls out her gun, which they don't do. But at the same time, where do you holster your weapon? At your hip, right below the belt line. So that's what she's doing.
But what I'm talking about is that there's a pocket dimension. It's not visible until she pulls it out. A full 3-foot musket.
Yep.
That she pulls straight out from her.
Well, and then
her hip.
And a little boy sees it from in the distance, and he just says, "Mommy, that girl is wearing panties with blue stripes. Her equipment is so standard." Just like, Why does he say that? And the mom just says, "Be quiet and pretend you didn't see anything."
Like a good member of
Like
society.
a good member of society. Yep. Be quiet and pretend you didn't see anything, like a good member of society.
He's focusing on her underwear. She pulled out a gun in public. He's focusing on her underwear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I can't help but wonder if they don't see the gun, because later on we learned that some of these characters, well, this is kind of jumping ahead, but there's magic involved here. Obviously,
Yes.
with the pocket dimension she's doing, there's magic involved here. And some of the characters don't look human, but they go out drinking together at night.
Yes.
Well, they have and they reveal the reason they're able to do that is because they have these magical amulets that make people not notice them.
Right.
So it doesn't disguise them. It's just kind of like in the Wheel of Time. There's this creature called a Gray Man, and he's called a Gray Man because his soul has been removed from his body, and it's extremely hard to focus on a Gray Man. It's like your eyes will look at them and you don't even notice they're there. You just keep looking. They're extremely skilled assassins because of that.
Doctor Who has something similar that they just call a perception filter. That is, it can be applied to devices, and if you wear them, people don't generally notice that you're standing out. And apparently that is applied to Doctor Who's TARDIS, and so it doesn't matter what period. Like in one episode, he says that it calculates the cultural significance of everything around it, and figures out one of a billion permutations that it could take to properly camouflage itself, and then every time picks a blue box because the chameleon circuit is broken. So it runs through the process, but never decides on anything else. And so there's just a perception filter, so it doesn't matter where or when they are. People just don't notice the blue box unless they're looking for it.
And who are you? I am a responsible adult. That's just a plain piece of paper.
I think you will find that this identifies me as a universally recognized as a responsible and trustworthy adult.
Oh, that's what he says.
Just a bunch of wavy lines. Oh, alas, the lie too big.
Oh, alas, the lie too big. Destroyed his psychic paper.
All right. So as we're going throughout, so she takes her to this. So she takes him to this place, and as they're coming up on it, they see this very beautiful castle. The bus, and he's about to push the stop button, and she stops him because it turns out the castle is a recent construction. It's a love hotel. And despite the fact that the stop says it's the
park,
the park's actually at the next stop, but the signs are wrong. And so we come to find out one of their early problems, as you're following along. Somebody in this government is preventing the name changes of the bus stops.
Yeah. She says we've been trying to get it to stop, but for some reason we're trying to get it to change, but every time it comes up, it gets pushed back for some reason, and we don't know why.
Right. Now, later on in episode 2, we were introduced to some characters who seem villainous. They're businessmen who are tired of financing their failing
this isn't until later. I don't think this is
until later, but
that's episode 2, I think. But yeah,
but within the first 3 episodes, I haven't seen past it, but I'm theorizing they're probably causing problems.
Oh yeah, like they call themselves the Amagi group, so I have no doubt that they're the ones who also built the Love Hotel with a similar name to the park to confuse people, to drive people away from the park, because apparently there's something in their contract that says that if you have not apparently, but it says in their contract that if they have less than 500,000 people visit the park per 5 years in a row, 5 years consecutively, then the property reverts to this group.
Right.
So it's fair. I think this group is actively working to get the land.
Yeah.
So
I was seeing something that back in the bus, there was the Amagi Brilliant Park, and then there was some other name that didn't matter much to me, but the next stop on the other side, I swear, said the Amagi Hospital.
Maybe, I don't know.
So I was focusing on that. So was the Brilliant Park in the hospital. And it's like, well, that would be bad to get one stop late and you end up at the hospital instead of an amusement park. But apparently, maybe, and I didn't follow which direction was which and whether or not where the actual stop belonged. But yeah, that was just something that I noticed that came up. But they eventually make it into the park, and it's there's a running gag. There's a series of running gags when they get into the park where Isuzu is introducing the attractions to him, and every time she does, she is perfectly like rule of thirds, one on the right third of the screen, and deadpan introducing the attraction. Like, enjoy the excitement and wonder of this.
Yeah, like no, not just deadpan. I would say, completely emotionless. She's just kind of. It's like she's just reading the pamphlet that she had memorized. Right in here, this is the land of. This is the land of the. This is a magical place. This is the land of the candy fairy. Or this is the land of the flower fairy. So let's go ahead and go on this ride. And they go on this ride that's supposed to be like a love tunnel, but
it's a love tunnel / it's a small world.
It's a small world, only the worst version of it, because everything's breaking down. All the mouths on the flowers are like barely moving. The music is barely playing. It's stuttering. They start going on the ride. The track is misaligned, so they almost get derailed immediately. And then, of course, the fairy isn't there when they get to the part where the fairy is supposed to be. And she just says, "Oh, yeah, every once in a while he doesn't feel like coming out." So,
so she puts him through this whole thing. And yeah, I was just noticing how, the gag happens over and over again with this repetitive, flat, cheap animation that kind of looks like a visual novel.
Yeah.
The interactive visual novel type. And if you were just to introduce the animation like that, you kind of might shrug it off. But after watching just how dynamic the animation was in the opening, you could tell it was a gag.
Oh yeah. No, it was especially since I did it like 3 times, and each time he had less patience for it.
Right.
So he's like, this place will bring you lots of joy. Then why aren't you smiling?
Whose dreams are coming true here?
Yeah, this is a place where dreams come true. Whose dreams are coming true?
This is a place where dreams come to die. Okay, so I actually did a little bit of research on this, and I shared a link to a 4-year-old article on this.
But I didn't get a chance to look at it. But yeah.
Okay. So we're introduced shortly thereafter. The last attraction that has this gag that I was talking about, the visual novel layout gag. They go into a facility that has where he has a water gun laser gun. So it looks like a water pistol, but it's actually a laser pistol, and he's supposed to be shooting these mice that are popping out in the walls around him.
And he's like, finally, a game that I'll be good at.
And so he goes in, and he only gets like 13% out of 100.
Yeah,
and it's really kind of pathetic.
Like this mouse pops out, and by the time he aims at it, the mouse is gone. And it's just that over and over and over again. So he finds himself randomly firing.
Yes.
And then afterwards, he's like, by the way, that's our wall of fame of people who got a perfect score.
They're all military men.
And it's all guys, it's all Japanese Self-Defense Force guys in full camo and everything, posing for the camera and whatnot.
Yes, like, with the mascot of that booth, who's known as Moffle, who looks exactly like Bonta-kun from Full Metal Panic Fumofu.
Fumofu.
And I looked up why that is. Both Full Metal Panic Fumofu and Amagi were co-written by a man named Shoji Gato. And he works. Both of them were KyoAni Productions, and he works. So he worked on both, and he gave his permission to to let the character design carry over. And so it's kind of an homage to his previous work, but there's no in-universe reason for them to be identical. It's just sort of a inside joke for KyoAni fans.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. So anyway,
Tofu.
Yeah.
Pony.
Fumofu. He says as he's kicking the guy's groin over and over and over again.
Yeah. Stop bonding over weird noises.
Oh, that show. Full Metal Panic Fumofu.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Actually, we may watch that if we can find it. We may watch it for one of our episodes or one of our reviews this month. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on.
Yes.
So he just wants to leave after all this. He's like, he wants nothing to do with it. Oh, we should say, because we got distracted, but Moffel, he's there to take a picture with them. Oh, he's super violent, but like he gets really upset at a Kanye for trash talking the park, and so he gets into a fight. Right before it gets to actually, I don't remember if it happens at this point, because later on the two of them clash heads a lot, and before the fight gets serious, before the Azuma or Isuzu, my bad, Isuzu shoots them with her pain bullets that are designed to be twice as painful as stubbing your toe.
Twice as painful as stubbing your toe against oak furniture in the middle of the night.
Yep. That's like, what...
Ow.
Yeah. Ouch.
Good heavens. Ouch.
But anyway, so they get into a fight, and I can't remember if she breaks it up. I don't remember how it ends, but afterwards, Susan's just like, oh, wait, here, let's get our commemorative photograph. Oh, it actually took, and she pulls it up, and it's a still frame of Kanye being uppercutted in the stomach by Moffel.
It is. It's an action pose with motion blur and everything. Like, this is my commemorative photo.
And so later, so they are afterwards. They're outside. It's getting late, and he just wants to leave. And he's like, "I've had enough of this. I'm out of here." And she's like, "Here, they made these for us though, so let's eat them." He's like, "I don't want them." And she's like, "No, please, just eat one." And it's a croquet. And croquets are kind of like deep fried mashed potatoes.
Deep fried mashed potatoes with stuff inside.
Not always. Every croquet that I had in Japan was just the mashed potatoes. But it's not uncommon for them to have things in it. But most of the croquets I had were I think they were homemade instead of bought at a theme park. I would imagine that the ones bought at the theme park would, have things in them. Right. But anyways, he eats one, and it's delicious. He loves it, and before he realizes it, he's eaten all three.
Yeah.
And she's like, the person who made these wants to meet you. And he says, okay, fine, I'll meet her. And he goes, and they go into this castle, and they go to the top floor of this castle, and they go outside on this balcony, and he sees this girl dressed up like a princess.
Yes.
So sorry, you were going to say something?
But just before that, we find out that Isuzu had picked out Kanye deliberately as she goes off. She has all this information about him written in a little book, and she says, top marks in your class, incredibly hot, incredibly popular, great athletics, totally a narcissist.
Oh yeah, she pulls up. Yeah. That's right.
And so she starts listing off his good qualities, and he likes it. And then she starts listing off his bad qualities, like
how he has no friends, never even had a girlfriend, eats lunch by himself.
Yeah.
And
it just starts pissing him off. It's great.
Yeah. And she's like, but then she says the entire reason I transferred to your school was to meet you and get you to come here to meet this person.
Also, because at that point it's revealed he used to be a child actor and then gave it up.
By a different... he disappeared 5 years ago.
And then gave it up, changed his name, and went to school to try to be a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at that point that there seems to be when he meets the girl in the princess outfit, there's a sudden flashback that it seems like he knew her from his acting days, and
Yeah.
but not enough information is given in the flashback. It just seems it was a long time ago. People were a lot younger, maybe 5-10 years younger than they are now,
Yeah.
5 or 8. And then
they seem to be young
see what happens.
children. They seem to be young children, 7 or 8 years old, something like that.
And something possibly violent, possibly traumatic
Yeah.
happened.
At this point, we see this flashback twice in this episode, and the first time we just see her on the ground looking up, and there's either she's blushing or there's a bruise on her cheek or a mark or something, and then
she seems to have been knocked to the ground or something.
Yeah, and then then the two of them talk in the modern day. So the two of them talk, and she says, "Look, the reason I am the general manager of this park." And she lets him say that this park isn't just a park. Or well, she doesn't blah whatever.
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say is
she reveals quite a bit.
She reveals quite a bit, and she says that this park isn't just a park. It's the home of actual fairies, of people from a magical world. And he doesn't believe it, but she explains to him that we have magic, and in order to prove to you that we are telling the truth and that we need you to save us, I'm going to give you magic. And he says, and he's like, wait, what? And then she leans in and she kisses him.
Yes.
Right on the lips. And then that's when we have the second flashback where we see her on the ground again, and then she looks up, and this time we see him standing down, looking standing over her, looking down at her, looking very, very angry.
I think it was a fist raised too, but it was a very quick flash.
His fist may have been clenched. I don't quite remember.
And it was monochrome flashback with blacks and reds.
So and then he passes out. Apparently, giving him magic went very, very poorly. And they seem super surprised by it. They seem extremely surprised by it. Like, this is not normal. This isn't supposed to happen when you give somebody magic. And so the next day he wakes up, and he wakes up. He's like, "Oh, I'm home. They gave me." And he's like, "What a load of crap! I gotta get cleaned up and go to school." And so he gets clean, and so he goes out of his room and goes over to the bathroom, opens it up to see a mostly naked Isuzu.
Yes.
Leaning over and getting dressed in that room. He freaks out, closes the door, runs to the room next to his, which is his older sister's room or something along those lines.
Yep.
Whoever the relative that's acting as a guardian, I think it's his sister. And then while he is talking to his older sister, it cuts back to Isuzu, and she just goes, "Oh, eek."
Yes, delayed reaction being peeped on.
And it's revealed later on that she doesn't understand human society. It doesn't click with her. She just so I think that's why she was reading that magazine while she was waiting for him, trying to get a better grasp on human society, but she just doesn't understand it. So, and this humorous moment is just a glimpse into her not understanding human society. Oh, wait, I was supposed to be upset at that. Eek.
Yes. In the meantime, he's complaining, why is there a girl in the house? And his sister explains that Isuzu brought him home because he was passed out and didn't know what else to do. And then suddenly, magic happens, and Kanye can now hear his sister's thoughts. And she's thinking how great it is he's finally lightened up and brought a girl home. Because he used to be so stuffy and thought that women were the enemy. And it's just... It's like, what was that about me being stuffy? You were talking a lot with your mouth closed somehow. And then she feigns drunkenness and says, I need to go back to bed. And closes the door on.
Yep. So he can now read minds.
Yep.
But they go to the bus, or they go to the train station, and him and Isuzu, and he's over there reading people's minds, and like he sees the first person's like, oh man, that beautiful woman and that who looks so great in that suit isn't here today, and someone's like, oh, like someone's complaining about a game
her
or
shirt.
so no, her.
Oh, her skirt was too short.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I hope my skirt isn't too short today. And then it goes over to a guy, and he's quoting, like, he says a year, and then an event that happened in that year. And Kanye shouts out, no, you're wrong! This is what happened on that year! And he's just like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. And he's like, well, but he's wrong!
He's like he's studying for a quiz, and he's studying the wrong information.
Yeah. Yeah, he's studying he's got flashcards out in front of him. Anyways, Isuzu's just like, look, Kanye is still freaking out about this new power that he has, and she's like, look, you this is a magical power. Someone's had this magical power here in the past. Go ahead and use it on me, and I'll tell you more about it. And he uses it on her, and she says, "This is a magical power that lets you read the thoughts of the person, but you can't use it more than once on the same person." And he's just like, "You just tricked me into using my power on you, so I couldn't use it again. Maybe."
Which actually that reminded me a bit of Code Geass as well, because his power was one use per person.
Yeah, one use per person. Anyways, so
yeah, things continue on, and he is not interested in becoming the general manager, despite having this magical powers.
Yeah.
That he's been given. Because honestly, he only went on the date because he had a gun pointed at him, and he only went back because he had a gun pointed at him, and he's not happy with the situation at all. In fact, there's a scene where he's talking, where Kanye is talking to Isuzu, and he says, "Why don't you hire a real general manager?" Oh, they all quit. Well, why? Because I kept threatening him with my gun. Oi!
Why? Yeah. They tell him that they want him to be the general manager because apparently there's this prophecy that they need him in order to save the park. They don't know any more than that, though. They have no idea. So not all the mascots or not all the characters are happy with that prophecy. A lot of them think that this guy's just a nobody. Like, he doesn't know how much work we put into this, which makes sense. You know, having an outsider come in is always a difficult thing, especially when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something. Having somebody else come in and change everything is a very, very difficult thing to accept, as we see in episodes 2 and 3. She asks him to come along for this meeting. And
to meet the enemy.
And this is when we meet the businessmen, and the businessmen are the ones who reveal that, look, you like the thing that we mentioned earlier, the 500,000 people minimum for your park to remain open, and it's been almost, and this is your last year. You have 90 days before this park will shut down, and you're not
only
doing
reached half a million.
Yeah, you've only reached a quarter of that, and that's in 9 months.
Yeah, you've reached in 9 months half of your quota, and so you're never going to make it. You might as well just start planning now on liquidating your assets and.
And the guys who are saying this are, they're the smug businessman archetype. And Kanye is getting more and more upset throughout the entire thing. I think we're going to learn more about his history. I think he probably had run-ins with people like this throughout his career as a brilliant child actor, as he was called. But anyway, after the meeting, he gets up and he's just like, "Oh well." And Isuzu says, "Will you please take the job as the as the general manager.
Right.
And he says, no, I have no desire to do this. You guys are crazy. They're right. You should be liquidizing your assets, type thing. And he leaves and shuts the door behind him, and Isuzu kind of, leans up against the door head first. And then we cut to outside of the park.
And he's waiting for the bus.
He's waiting.
And standing there waiting for his own ride is the blonde-haired manager who was talking to him the whole time. And it's at that moment that the businessman recognizes Kanye from his child acting days. And then tries to strike up a conversation.
Oh, you're so and so. He's like, I have no idea who you're talking about. That you've got the wrong person. He's like, no, I don't. And he says that, look, I don't know what happened to the former brilliant child actor that's now working part-time in this rundown and crappy park. But let me give you a word of advice. Hang around losers and you become a loser yourself. And he gets into this fancy car and goes off.
Yeah.
And that really pisses Kanye off.
Yeah, it does.
Really makes him mad.
And so he decides to go back, goes into the same castle there was before, but the steps are long and awkward, and he exhausts himself climbing those stairs, just to find that all of the Fae in the park have...
we should clarify, there's also humans that work here as well. It's not all Fae.
Yeah. So the Fae who do live and work in the park are all gathered together for a meeting to be told, basically to prepare for the worst, because they have 3 months left and there's no hope. And then we're introduced to one of the characters is a mascot that looks like a Pokemon alligator, like a blue alligator who's crying and sobbing and is convinced he's going to die. After the park closes, the only job I can get is handing out Kleenexes, handing out tissue packs, and then I'm never going to get fans that way, and then I'm going to be forgotten and die.
We should probably say that they reveal to him that the Fae need this park to live.
Yes, it is a life or death matter for them. Yeah. There's some... they spent a little bit of time explaining how when humans come by and they leave a little bit of their love energy there, it becomes crystallized and it's a sustenance for them. It's something that helps extend their life force.
Yeah.
And so they need active people who are fans who love them in order to stay alive.
And this guy breaks down and says that I'm going to become somebody who passes out tissues, and nobody loves those people, and I'm going to fade into nothing. I'm going to fade away, and no one's going to remember me. And he gets very, very upset at the princess, at the actual general manager, saying that you don't understand. Like, you guys are going to be able to just go to a different park, whereas for me, it's like I'm nothing. And then
that's when Moffel steps in and starts picking a fight with him, saying, how long have you been here? Oh, 12 years. You had 12 years to build up your own fan base and get people to like you, but you just rode on the success of the park, thinking that would take care of you for the rest of your life. This is your own fault for not...
it's your own
working
fault for not
working to help your own image out. And then what's his name? Then this little alligator guy tells Moffel that it's easy for you to be brave. There's another theme park with another mouse that you could just become his sidekick. And Moffel gets pissed off at that. I am no one's sidekick.
Yeah. And the fight's about to break out when Kanye shouts, and Moffel gets pissed and says, "Hey, get out of here! Like, you're not even one of us. You rejected the job." He's like, "Yeah, I changed my mind." And so he goes up and he goes back into the castle, and he goes and he stands next to the two girls who were up there, and they're both in, like, the princess is in her pink dress still, and Isuzu is now in her red uniform, and she
So he gives a great big speech up there, and in the most arrogant,
infuriates everybody. It infuriates them.
Yes.
It's great.
We find out a little later that the reason he gave a speech that absolutely pissed everybody off was if they weren't angry at his speech, that means they didn't care about their jobs.
Yeah. He's like,
and so it demonstrated that there's hope.
I was told today, like he said something along the lines of, I was told today that only losers come to this park. And you know what? They're right. Why would they come to this park when they go to anywhere else, type thing, you know? And everyone gets furious. And yeah, he says later on to the two, and he's like, look, I'm going to take the job and I'm going to make a miracle and we're going to save this park on the one condition that I only have to do it for the next 3 months and then I can go ahead and leave after that.
Yeah.
And they say yes, they accept him. But he then in private, when it's just him and the two girls, he's like, I have no idea. Like, I have no plan. I have no idea what we're going to do going forward. I don't have a miracle that I can just pull out of my pocket. This is just going to be work. It's like, well, why did you give that talk where you told that to everybody? Because I wanted to see what they would do. Mm-hmm. And because they're angry, if they got angry at me, that means that they still have pride in their jobs, which means that there is hope. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At some point, I don't remember when exactly it happens, but at that evening, we're introduced to a drinking bar. Called Savage.
Is it Savage?
It's something Savage.
Anyway.
And it's a back corner of there where these mascots go to drink. And we're introduced to two other mascots, which include a pink cat and a white lamb. And the two of them are pretty violent.
Yeah.
They will get into a fight very quickly. We're introduced to them actually a little bit earlier too. I think there was a scene where a little boy was beating up on kids were beating up on them.
They're giving balloons or something to two kids, and the two kids are just like kicking and punching them, thinking that, it's just a big stuffed animal. They can do whatever they want to it, and the person inside won't feel bad. And the mom's just standing there just laughing, not like menacingly, but she's okay with her kids doing what they're doing. She thinks it's just cute. That's just kids being kids.
Kids being kids. And so then they're back in massage chairs getting their injuries beat out of them. And it's like, oh, it hurts so much. Like, they were fighting us. Oh, don't overreact. They were doing this. And then they start whacking each other. It's like, oh.
Yep. But anyways, they're at the bar that night.
Apparently these mascots have a lot of pent-up rage.
Mm-hmm. So they're at the bar that night, and Moffel joins them, and he goes into the back, and like, at first I thought it was at the park because nobody questioned why someone in this getup was coming into a bar. So I thought it was just something that they had. But he goes in, he's like, oh yeah, they're already in the back. He's like, okay, thank you. And he goes, and so in Japan, it's customary to take off your shoes when you go inside someplace. Not really when you go shopping, you go to a store or things like that, but there are bars where you go into the back, and in the back, you're expected to take off your shoes because it's like you're entering someone's home in that area, or kind of a private area. And so Moffel goes up, takes off his shoes, or steps out of his shoes, only to show that his shoes are an exact replica of what his feet actually look like.
Yeah. Yeah, he just steps out of shells of his feet. Same color, same felty fabric that the rest of his little costume is.
And so he goes in and he meets the two other mascots, and they're already drunk. One of them has she's not a hostess, serving girl, I guess the server comes back and gets their order, some more beers, and
who they're on a first name basis with.
Yeah, they're on a first name basis with her, and it's like, and the pink cat is the dirty old man personality.
Yes.
And she's like, how about you give me a beer and I'll go ahead and get your phone number too, or something like that. And she's like, oh, yeah, nope, not giving you that.
Something about watching her bend over more or something.
Oh, yeah, something like, how about you bend over more so I can see more of that other side of you. Nope, not happening.
And then that's when it's revealed that just because you're wearing this thing
Yeah, just
doesn't mean
because
that
you're
people are
wearing
going
that,
to forget
that
things you
yeah,
say.
just because you're wearing that pendant doesn't mean people are going to forget you. It means they're not going to pay attention to you. Okay, it's like it's
Everyone's going,
fine. Yeah,
everyone's going to pay attention to
a
mascot
mascot that's
talking
sexual.
about a pretty
Yeah,
that's committing sexual harassment, talking about a pretty girl's butt. Like,
yeah,
I want to say things like bleep and bleep and bleep. Like, shut up and
and it's
start
all
beating.
bleeped out. And they start fighting him, and then the girl opens up the door with their orders and just screams, "Shut up!" type thing. You guys are too loud. And they get their drinks and stuff. Yeah. So no, my favorite part of that was him just Mofo just removing his shoes, only to show that his shoes were not removed.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyway, so next day, it is the first day for I think that's the end of episode 2, him accepting the job and then going to the bar. The next day, it's or like so the episode ends with Kanye staying the night at the office, reading up on the park and getting as much information about it as he can, and he works through the night.
Yeah.
And then the next day he gets up and he puts on his uniform, and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and he just goes, "No matter what I wear, I'm hot." Even though he's wearing this goofy looking uniform.
He says it in such a sultry tone that I was wondering if he was overheated.
Well,
Like,
first,
no,
when I
no,
first
that's not what he meant.
when I first read the subtitles, I was like, "Wait, hot? Is he?" Because he looked like he was sweating.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh, I guess he's just hot. But yeah, no, the word they say is kakoi, which means awesome or cool or something like that. So it may have not been kakoi, but it was not atsui, which means hot, which means like the actual
he's
temperature.
not uncomfortably warm.
Mm-hmm. He's not uncomfortably warm. He is just full of himself.
Yeah, he is. By the way, something I wrote down that I wanted to go back to.
Okay.
After the ending credits of the first episode, they talk about after the ending credits of every episode, they talk about one of the attractions in the park. And at the end of the first episode, they talk about the attraction that Moffel runs.
Okay.
The house with the mice that you have to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
And they talk about how that particular place has different settings, including easy, medium, hard, and impossible mode, which apparently is so difficult that it's actually driven some customers insane. You shouldn't have that as a mode. By the way, your setting was on easy.
What? You shouldn't have that as a mode. Yeah, he goes on a tour of the park this time, but as a manager, and he's looking at things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of episode 1 that they just reveal that when he was out shooting those mice, that was the easy setting for the game.
That was easy.
Like, they need to fix that.
So after spending the night reading, he does something that infuriates Moffel. Kanye does something that infuriates Moffel. He has posted a sign, and everyone's telling Moffel, look, just give him a chance. Okay, look, I know it's hard. I know he's new, but let's just give him a chance. And the next morning, Moffel comes to work, seeing a sign on the door seeing a sign on the front gate saying, "Temporarily closed. All employees, please report for cleanup duty."
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he's furious. They never closed once.
In 39 years.
In 29 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In 29 years, they never closed once. We should probably... so he comes up with a plan. He comes out and he starts throwing punches at Kanye. And somehow Kanye can see and read his movements, and so he's dodging them, even though these are like lightning fast punches.
Yeah, the first time they fought, it was a beat down. He didn't have a chance, but now that he has magical powers, his magical powers seem to include allowing him to
read his movements.
Yes.
And just as he's about to fight back, Isuzu puts an end to the fight by shooting both of them.
Yes, with these pain bringer bullets.
But I think we kind of glossed over this, but he has a plan, and his plan is 3 steps. First is we're going to close the park and repair everything. Mm-hmm. Okay. I can't remember what the second step was. Do you remember what the second step to his plan was? Everyone was against it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's what it was."
That's right. He's offering a 3-tiered plan, and every step he's offering, he gets a thumbs down and a glare from everybody in the conference room.
But the first step is we need to close down and repair the park. It's breaking, it's falling apart. And finally they agreed and said, okay, fine. We'll close the park, but we still need to do something to entertain people. He's like, okay, that's fine. You go out and entertain people while we fix the park. And so he, the next step is we're going to be open later and no more days off. And it was like, but wait, no, we like having a day off. He's like, what amusement park is closed on a Friday? And he pulls up his phone and shows like their schedule where they're open Monday, that they're open Saturday through Thursday.
We like our fun time.
We like our Friday nights. Yeah, no, you are not. From here on out, we are open 7 days a week. And the third step is everything is free.
Yes.
And they say, no, we absolutely cannot do that. We absolutely cannot do that. And the accountant, I didn't catch her name.
He didn't say everything, just that admission.
Yeah. No. He said everything.
Did he?
Yeah, everything's free. And that's when they were just like, yeah, wait, no, we can't do that. We cannot do that because, everything, we need money to operate. Otherwise, we'll shut down early. So he's like, okay, fine. How about this? The 30-year anniversary is coming up, right? Let's charge everybody 30 yen, which, 30 cents, something like that, a quarter, something like that here in the States. Yeah. And they're just like, okay. And so they agreed to the plan. Muffle and him get into another fight. I forget what the trigger is, but once again, Isuzu breaks up the fight by shooting both of them with her pain bullets. God, that's gotta hurt so bad.
Yeah. But yeah, he instructs them that if you don't have anything to clean, you can go to the front of the facility to.
Oh, that's what set him off that time. He made the video. Of the girls.
But before he made that video, there was the altercation in the front gate with the Thug family.
Okay, you're right. So he says anybody whose place is clean, go entertain the guests at the front gate. That way people who still show up will still, won't feel like their days have been completely wasted.
Because even though all the other places were filthy and run down and there's some lackluster things going on in various places, Moffle's place was the most well kept.
Yep.
During the first episode.
Well, and yeah, Moffle's place was extremely well kept. So Moffle went to go entertain people. And it cuts to the front gate, and Moffle gets drop-kicked by a kid who starts saying that I wanted to go to Digiland for my birthday, but we couldn't go there. So I accepted to come here as instead. And you're closed for the day? How dare you be closed today, you second-rate ripoff, or whatever he calls him. And so he bows down and he apologizes and says, I'm sorry that we're closed today. Please understand that understand that the park needs to close from time to time in order to make repairs so everything can be safe for you to use for our customers or whatever, and just kind of prostrates himself. And
the mom stops him.
The kid's kicking him in the head the entire time while he's doing this.
Yeah.
And the mom stops him, and he's like, "Oh, thank you. Oh, good. The mom's here. She's going to hopefully put him in his place." And the mom says, "Don't kick him. You don't know where he's been. You might get some weird disease from him." Oh, so she only cares about the kid. She doesn't care that he's actually kicking me. Yeah. And she says, "If my son gets some disease from touching you, I'm going to sue." And
and so the kid's a brat. She's awful. And as he's about to stand up to them, we find out that the husband is clearly some low-level Yakuza thug.
Yeah, he's some Yakuza thug.
That's He's walking around with this over exaggerated stagger and an inflated sense of self-importance. And in fact, he looks a lot like what Deku looked like when he tried to pretend to be one of those kind
Oh
of thugs.
gosh.
So
Yeah, yeah.
like
Only
Deku was
acting.
overacting, but this guy looks exactly like Deku's overacting.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
And so this guy comes up, and we just know trouble's going to come down. And I think it was the pink cat knows too, but is recording everything. Like has
yep.
a
Oh
smartphone
no,
out.
no, no, no! It was we skipped these characters, but there are 4 fairy girls.
Oh,
There are
the fairy
4
girls.
fairy girls. It was
Yeah,
the one of the fairies,
I
the
think
fire fairy. She always has her cell phone out.
yes,
The
she does.
entire time she has her cell phone out, so she's the one who records it, I believe.
Yes.
So, but yeah, he's had enough, and he
he
one
waits for
shots.
waits for the thug to make a shot, and he expertly dodges the shot and cold cocks the thug, and he's out cold then
Yep,
and there.
yep. One punch and the thug is out, and so
And a little later, one of the
well,
most beautiful scenes.
oh yeah, well
Is,
the real fast we learn about the attack. Um, Kanye learns about the attack, and he goes out and he sees it all happen. And he then pulls everybody into the office so they can talk about it. And then what happens?
well, he gets the thug is about to start something and gets shot in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the look on the
mom
boy
and the son are freaking out.
And then the two of them also get shot in the head.
Bam, bam.
Well, it turns out that Isuzu can choose what kind of bullets come out of her gun, and one of the bullet options allows her to wipe the memory of whoever she shoots.
Yeah.
And it's at that point that she explains these memory wiping bullets take a year to make. They're very expensive. I can't just use them whenever I want. Okay, how much about what do the painbringer bullets cost? Oh, they're about 10 for 30 yen.
Oh! And he gets so frustrated at that
because he can be so shot upset infinite number of times.
Yeah, for point. Dirt, it's like popping candy. It's dirt cheap and they're super easy to make.
Like 2 to 3 pennies a piece.
Oh, real fast. Call back to a joke from episode 1 where where just as the thing that starts freaking them out is Mofu. Is that his name? Moffle starts starts talking, and they're like, "Wait a minute, he's talking," and everyone starts freaking out over it. And the exact same kid who caught a shot of Isuzu's panties says, "Mom, that's not a costume." And the mom says in the exact same tone, "Be quiet and pretend you didn't see anything."
And wasn't that right around the same fight too?
No, well, that's that fight. That's before he knocks that's before he cold cuts the thug out.
That's right.
So, yeah, that's before that.
So yeah, that kid's now running gag.
Yep.
A kid seeing things you're not supposed to see is now running gag.
Mm-hmm.
But well,
anyways, they're gonna kick. They could fire Moffle for what he did easily. He's within grounds of dismissal, but he's just like, look, I understand that it was an extremely frustrating situation, and I understand that you're also frustrated with me, so I'm going to let it slide this time. But if it happens again, you're fired.